Welcome to us, CEO Warrior and HireBus, talking about recruiting and building the future for 2025 and beyond. My name is Kevin Hill, and I am a Master Advisor and Director of Training for CEO Warrior. And I will turn it over to either Dan or Brandon. Let them introduce themselves for a second.
Okay. Hey, everybody. My name is Brandon Vaughn. I'm CEO of HireBus. I've been in home services my whole life. I'll dive in a little bit more to that background, but happy to be here with you, everyone. Dan.
Awesome.
Great to meet everyone. Dan Fleisher, COO of HireBus. I've been working in home services, first in coaching and now in HireBus for about 5 years, and really passionate about bringing great people into businesses.
Fantastic. Here's what we're going to do. We are going to spend some time having Dan and Brandon talk about what they do at HireBus. And we're just going to kind of make it have a good communication about what we do, what they do, how it kind of bleeds into what we train at CEO Warrior as far as recruiting and finding the right people and having great onboarding. But I'm going to turn it back over to Brandon and Dan, and they have some slides that they want to walk through as a presentation. And as always, this is open-ended. If you have a question, raise your hand, unmute, jump in. Aji, I'm looking right at you, my friend. Jump in if you need to and ask your questions. These guys are phenomenal. So, all right, guys, have at it.
Right on. All right. I appreciate it. Hey, everyone. Thank you for tuning in and watching this. Here's my promise to you. No matter what, whether you decide to move forward with HireBus and use us, I promise to unlock a few keys that I've used with my own home service business to be able to build a waiting list of techs in my company. Right now in my company, we have about 260 technicians on a waiting list between our 37 locations that we have for my home service business that I own. And I'm going to peel back the curtain. I want to talk about exactly how we do it, what the structure is, how we write our job ads. It's going to be very detailed, lots of action items. And my goal is to provide so much value to you that maybe one day you decide to reach out to us and say, hey, we could use some help on the recruiting side, and we'd love to have that opportunity to be able to do so. Thank you very much to Kevin for the invite. Appreciate it. I know that whether you're watching this live or you're watching the recording of this, your time is valuable. I want to be very respectful of that. If anyone has any questions along the way, or Kevin, you want to chime in at any point in time, please don't hesitate. Just go ahead and dive right in and jump into it.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, let's talk about building a team that flies without you. Now, one of the big reasons why I have this paper airplane here is because there's an analogy that I've heard oftentimes likened to the experience of starting a business as an entrepreneur. That is jumping off a cliff and building the plane on the way down. Anyone here resonate with that a little bit, that's how starting a business kind of feels like? You know, it's that terrifying moment. And the reality is your family, your friends, everyone around you told you you probably shouldn't have done that thing. And so it's very difficult for you to be able to pull off that gnarly maneuver at the end before you hit the bottom. And then the next step of that is once you are actually flying, how can you build out the team to be able to fly that plane without you? And so we're going to talk about the 5 critical steps to avoid that crash. And we're going to preface it with the acknowledgement that every single person that's either watching this call is a weirdo. And the reason why I say that is because we are the weirdo entrepreneurs that decided to jump off a cliff and build a plane on the way down and perhaps quit a cushy job and decide to go do this crazy thing instead. Now, this is typically what this looks like is you decide one day and say, hey, I'm a plumber, I'm an HVAC technician, I'm good at the thing, but you know what? Hey, look at me now. I'm the CEO. And maybe this is our spouse that's looking at us being like, oh, really? You're the CEO now? Are you qualified to be the CEO? I wasn't. I was not qualified whatsoever. And in fact, there's an interesting phenomenon that happens to most business owners as they start to grow their business. And it's represented by what we call the Dunning-Kruger curve. And not we as in me, but this is people way smarter than me have come up with this graph. There's 2 axes here, knowledge and confidence. When we know nothing, we're way down here. Our confidence is low. We know nothing. But something happens over time. As we gain more knowledge, our confidence shoots up. Maybe we sell our first job. Maybe we hire our first employee. Maybe we get a couple wins under our belt. We're feeling on top of the world. Anyone been there at that position really early on in the business? This is what we call peak of Mount Stupid. This is when, or there's a nicer way to call this is Child's Hill. Okay. I like that version a little bit better, right? The wonderment of child, of believing they know everything when, oh, dear child, you really know nothing at this point in time. Usually an event happens where we tumble down that peak to the valley of despair. This is where we realize, wow, I really do know nothing. And I'm just starting to learn more about what it means to be a leader, a recruiter, a marketer, a salesperson. All the things that have nothing to do with turning the wrench or loading up the refrigerant. It has to do with the 80% that exists beneath the surface of our iceberg. And this is the valley of despair. Now, the goal is over time, we gain more knowledge, we climb up the slope of enlightenment, and then eventually we attain some level of mastery. And the reality is, let's be real, it's not actually like this nice gradual hike uphill. It's like another roller coaster. We got dips, we got valleys, we're up, we're down, like that still exists. But the reality is that we're always kind of attaining and seeking to attain this level of mastery down the road. And so these four different areas can be very likened to the four stages of entrepreneurship. And I call these different four categories of entrepreneurship. Stage one is the grinder. This is where we're doing everything on our own. We're the one that just as this guy who's sweating profusely, as ChatGPT decided to make him do, sweating profusely. He's got his customer waiting for him. He's on the phone. He's dealing with an employee that called out sick while he's trying to invoice and bill and do all the things. And then in this evening, he also needs to post job ads, just grinding it out. We're using our own effort of our time to make success happen in our business. Stage two is the controller. This is where now you have to.
Brandon, can I go back for 1 sec?
Please do. Yes.
So often enough, we find that our members that we engage with, or potential members at CEO Warrior, are this person.
Yeah.
And they find themselves in a position saying, I don't have the time because of this. I don't have the time to learn how to run my business better.
That's
I don't
right.
have time to learn the processes that are needed in order to get to the next stage. And it's interesting when we hear that, because we're like, when are you going to have time? Because a year from now, you're going to be in that same role.
That's
If
exactly.
you don't try and get yourself out of it. And that's where, great partnerships like ours come into play, right? You have the process company and you have the company to find the people. Great marriage in there.
I kind of look at it as, the difference between firefighting mode and fire inspector mode.
Yeah.
We all know how to fight fires. There's all of them all the time. At some point, we have to let some fires burn and say, who the hell is starting all these fires in the first place? Where's this arsonist? How can I stop the problem from continuing to propagate? And that taking off that hat is the difference between being in the business, being in the grinder seat, versus actually working on the business, actually getting things done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great point, Kevin. So next time that we get into next stage is the controller. And what usually happens when you start hiring team members, you hire a lot of helpers and you hire people that are taskers and they get things done. But the challenge is in this mode, now you become the controller where everyone comes to you with questions to answer and problems to solve. And in a way, it brings its own level of overwhelm, because now you're the smartest person in the company and you have to train everyone else that comes into your business instead. This is where kind of that next level of management and part comes in, where can either make or break an organization. Stage three is the builder, where now you're leveraging going out and finding smarter people than you, bringing them in, building your business using people instead, smart people, and going out and working with partnerships. And, one thing I heard is the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire. Millionaires think a lot about systems. Billionaires think a lot about, I got a guy, I got a gal. They have that network of they have the people that they trust. And if they need something done, they won't use their own effort. They'll use the effort of their trusted network of partnerships and team members that get that thing done. And then stage four is an investor, where maybe you own multiple companies, you're a absentee, semi-absentee owner, and your business truly is just an asset that you can own that is completely self-sustaining. And maybe this is the desired state for some people. It also is a great place to sell a business too, when you have a company that's at this level, because it fetches the highest multiple and leads for the highest exits. All right, quick way of a story for myself. I'll do this very fast. My dad has been a home service business owner since 1978. I grew up in a household where he was the guy on the tools, literally owner operator window cleaner for 33 years. I was one of those employees. Free, yay, child labor laws not applying to family. I got paid 5 cents a screen to wash screens at age 13. I homeschooled through high school and worked with my dad 40 hours a week all throughout high school while I homeschooled. And the day I turned 18, I went out and got my own business license. And I've been self-employed ever since. 100% commission only, just like you guys as well. Tough life, amazing life, absolutely epic. That business in 2012, I started growing that business. I did a few other ventures that failed miserably. I'll tell that's for a story another time. But ended up with this cleaning business. Lo and behold, same path as my dad, window cleaning company, solo guy in a truck. And over the course of the next 4.5, 5 years, grew that company to 70 employees in the Pacific Northwest, and did a lot of other cool ventures that was very, very exciting. It did end up selling this company, decided to go do a YouTube project where I wanted to start a brand new business from zero, called Map to a Million. There's 16 episodes out there, and started another brand new company from zero, with $15,000 capital. And here is the requirements: no work from day one in the field, no sales calls from day one, and not even answering a phone call from our main work line from day one. Literally, the entire business was built purely by hiring people from day one and spending up marketing dollars from day one. That's it. That business we launched in January of 2021. Here we are about 3.5 years later. We're doing $2 million a month in that company. We have 37 locations across the country. We have a waiting list of technicians of about 260 techs on a waiting list. We've become really, really, really stupidly good at recruiting people. And it's because we're leveraging a lot of AI stuff and also some good marketing principles, which I want to talk a lot about in this session, if you guys are good for it. So before I dive into the 5 steps to avoid a crash, any questions or comments or things to kind of pause on here, Kevin?
Yeah, so Brandon or Dan, let me ask you a question on this. So I literally just got off the stage talking about culture and how culture bleeds into recruiting and why people want to come. Can either of you guys talk a little bit about that? I mean, like I love that. I love that you just said that and you mentioned culture. It's so important to me, and that's how we built a very strong culture at our company. People wanted to come for us, and quite frankly, I dropped my my recruiting dollars, what I spent on recruiting, because I had people knocking on the door wanting to come work for our company based on our culture and our Google reviews. Can you guys talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're exactly right around the culture side of it. So the question that I like to ask, and I'd encourage everyone to ask, is why would someone want to work for you? And the concept of this that I like to talk about is your employees are still your customers, but they're your internal customers. So imagine your business is a product on a shelf, and you go to the grocery store and you have all these different options, and which one do you pick? Dan did a really interesting exercise here. Dan, I want to rat you out. Dan did an interesting exercise where he decided to see how many jobs he could apply for as a potential candidate on Indeed. Did you know what was the number, Dan, that you applied for in what time period?
I got 54 applications off in 40 minutes.
Okay, I want you to just think about that for a second. An applicant that goes on to Indeed and is looking for a job, they have the ability to rapid fire shotgun, spaghetti against the wall, see what sticks approach. And every job ad looks exactly the same. Every company opportunity looks exactly the same. You know, we know how to go out and convince a customer to do a repipe or upgrade and get a new, heat pump installed in one of our customers. We know how to do that. We know exactly even what that customer avatar is. We know how to talk to them. We have videos, promotional materials. We understand that value proposition really well. But let me ask you, what's a tougher sell? Convincing a homeowner to get a new system installed, or convincing another human being to spend more hours of their waking hours during the week with you inside of your company than they even spend at home with their own families, and to do so for years. It is a tough freaking
You hope for
sell.
years.
It's a tough sell. And we oftentimes don't think enough about that. So how can we kind of stand out on the shelf and, and actually be attractive? Well, this is where core values come in and culture. Kevin, as you mentioned, I'll share our core values for Wise Coatings. We have a acronym that spells BASE. We do garage floor coatings with this business. So, like everything starts with a strong base coat, strong base foundation. The B stands for Buffalo. We charge the storm. And this is a real story. Buffaloes versus cows. Cows, when they sense a big storm coming in the plains of Utah, they run away from the storm. Buffaloes, they charge the storm because they know they're going to get through it faster. They literally charge towards that storm front. Cows, they still endure all the pain and suffering of that storm, and it pelts them and they have to now run with it. And so why is this a core value? Because we run towards problems. If we see an issue, we're going to run towards it. We're going to bring it up to the customer. There's a rattle in the truck. We're going to bring it up to the service manager to get it fixed. We run towards problems. Next core value is ascend. Everyone in our company, you do not belong in our company unless you personally are looking to level up personally and professionally. Every single day, 1% improvement. Serve. We are in the service business. If the word servant is a bad word to you, we are not a good fit for you. We want to literally make sure that people have a servant's heart and they come up and they show up and they serve our customers. And then the last one is efficiency. We work with products that cure in 15 minutes or less. We have to be efficient. So we minimize moves and movements. And this was the first exercise I did when I came up with Wise Coatings and the brand, because foundationally, it's so important for you to be aligned. And the cool part is that once you have kind of your core values set up, then as you start to go out and you broadcast your job ads, this is literally what our job ads look like. We talk about them first. So our job ads don't say, we're looking for someone that's like this. We are a company that's like this. We are someone that's here. You must be able to lift 60 pounds. Like, we actually talk about them. We say who you are. You're always working to level up in your life. You love running towards problems. You thrive in a fast-paced environment. You love serving others and helping them succeed because you know that'll bring you success. So we talk about them first, and then we talk about us. And when we talk about us, we still are talking about them. We're what you've been looking for. We won Entrepreneur Magazine top 100 emerging franchise brands in the United States. Check out what your fellow coworkers say about working at Wise Coatings. We have a really good hype video that talks literally about our technicians. So the way that you know that you've done this right is if you have your employees and your applicants and your candidates, they actually show up to the interviews because they're excited about the position. They're saying, I love the way that your job ads were written because it spoke to me. And then what you further get is, like Kevin said, this whole team and culture of people that are all A players. And then you give them the gift of being able to go recruit their coworkers. The same gift that you have as a CEO. Now you can give that gift to your employees and say, I want to give you the same gift. You could pick exactly who you want as your coworkers, and I want to reward you for that. And there's a whole nother thing that we can kind of dive into on that side. So culture is everything in the business. And then, the question is are you marketing it well to where people know what it is that you stand for? I'll go ahead and pause there, Kevin, if you had something else to chime in on.
What I absolutely loved is your beginning of your job description matched the core values that they haven't even heard about yet.
Yes, sir.
So you get that match right off the bat that someone says, hey, that speaks to me.
Yeah.
You already know that they're going to be built within the core values of your company, which if they truly are core values, which I fully assume yours are, like ours are,
Yep.
we have a whole conversation, training that walks down people from a painted vision. So everyone has clarity and alignment within their organization and how important a painted vision, and then your core values, and then your non-negotiables. As we walk down the path, why not tell people what those are when you're going to hire them? So it's not a surprise that all of a sudden they sit down and you say, hey, by the way, here's our core values. Nah, I don't like that one.
Such a good point. Yeah, you nailed it, Kevin. Man, I hope you guys wrote that down. That was some gold Kevin's dropping there. That included in your interview questions, right? Like when you're interviewing your candidates, ask them questions that find out if they align with your core values. Ours is ascend. So we're going to ask questions like, hey, tell me about the last book that you read to level yourself up. What was the last course that you bought to level yourself up? What's a personal goal for yourself that you're really proud of that you
Yeah.
accomplished? We might look for their background to find out if they have some kind of a sports background or military background or something where they have that level of goal setting that's kind of baked into it. All those things are so important for us to make sure that we have a good culture fit inside of our organization. And one really cool question that we ask every single employee in the interview process, tell me about your dreams.
Mm.
What are your dreams and goals? And I got this from a book called The Dream Manager by Matthew Kelly. If you haven't read that book, highly, highly recommend. It was life-changing for me to read that book. And it's interesting, you'll get people that'll actually kind of be taken aback when you ask them that question, like, I've never been asked that before in an interview. And we say, well, look, why should you care about our hopes and dreams and goals as a company if I don't care about yours? I want to know what your dreams are and goals because I want you to say when your time is finished working with us in our company, that was the best company that I ever worked for. And they helped me accomplish my dreams and my goals. Our dreams and goals are big enough to fit everyone else's inside of them. But we got to know what your goals and dreams are so that we can show you a path on how you can accomplish those. And the Dream Manager program is very robust in which it actually lays out a path and a structure and framework for you to help your employees achieve those goals by tying them to certain KPIs and metrics and initiatives and goals. Uh, Really, really cool. And you oftentimes find that some of the goals that some of your employees have, like you can help them hit it very, very easily. In my company, instead of us just doing our normal Monday meetings, weekly team meetings to go over safety and stuff, which we do, we will pass out an example profit and loss sheet and tell every employee, hey, I'm going to teach you how to read one of the most fundamental business reports that is universal in every company. And this literally lays out exactly how a business is structured. And we go through line item by line item, pay for tax, benefits, marketing, expenses, rent. It's not like our current, like last month's P&L, but it's like an example one that's pretty close. And we teach them. And for the first time ever, I had some of my employees actually have this light bulb moment, like, I had no idea it was that expensive to run a business. All they see is just, their $3,000 a day in revenue that's piping into your business from the work they're doing. And therefore you must be just raking in the dough.
And yeah,
It was
Brandon, and think about that. Every time they see you be successful, which
Yeah.
as business owners, we know that's just a reinvestment into the company so you create a better environment. Like, one of our members here, or two of our, well, a whole bunch of our members here, but Gabe and Aji run a company, and I know for a fact that every dime that they make goes back into the company,
Yeah.
right? But if they were to take off and be super successful like they are, then what's going to happen? Everyone's going to assume that they're just going to have nicer vehicles and
Right.
nicer cars,
Right.
nicer houses rather, right? Everything's going to get poured in, right? And it's such an interesting concept when you look at that. I love the idea of we call the scorecard. I mean, I'm sorry, we call the P&L your business scorecard monthly.
Love that.
Want
That's
to know
awesome.
how you're doing? It's a scorecard,
Yeah.
right? And it's not just simply did you make money, did you not make money, right? I know plenty of companies that make $1 million a month in home services and lose money,
Right.
right? So you have to look. It's your scorecard. It's what you did. It's like the report card you used to either get really excited it was coming in the mail or not get so excited about it coming in the mail when I was younger, right?
Love
It's
that.
what a great exercise that is, because it really provides great feedback. And then there's other exercises like a one truck exercise that we do.
Mm,
We literally give someone and say all the things that you get for working for this company, right? How much do you think they really cost?
mm.
and you go through everything. It's basically a P&L, but they get to fill it in on what they assume it is, including what's their salary. Do you like your benefits? Do you want to have 401k? Do you want to take a day off? Or all those things. And it's called a one truck exercise. And at the end, they look and they say, huh, if I had my own company, I have to charge $300 an hour just to get a little bit of what, wow. So if I'm out there for 4 hours, I got to charge $1,200 and I haven't bought anything.
Yeah,
And
man,
it's
that's
a really enlightening exercise to go through. And it's spot on to what you're saying. Like let your team know exactly what it costs to provide a phenomenal environment for you.
love that. Love that, Gabe. We do the one truck. We do the one truck during onboarding. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I love that tool. All
Yeah.
right. Let me dive into to step two. Step two of avoiding a crash. This is actually a thing that for me was pretty humbling. And I'll kind of share the story of why I had, or how I kind of had my first epiphany moment. And this is finding your operator. Now, what I mean by this specifically, if you want to build a team that flies without you, the importance of this is to find people who are smarter than you that can come in and do the things that need to be done inside of your business. Now, maybe you're so early stage right now and you're watching this and you're just like, you're not at that level yet. But I want to share a couple aha moments that I had personally. So first thing I'm going to share with you is Richard Branson. Richard Branson decided to go out and start a cruise company with zero experience in a cruise ship line, did not exist. So what he did is he went and found the number two. This is part of his strategy. He goes out and he finds the number two of one of the best cruise lines out there and recruits them to come in and lead his company as CEO. And guess what? That person's been in the industry for 25 years. He knows all the things and comes in here. My personal coach, the coach who I pay to be a part of, he's done over 374 merger and acquisition deals, totaling $50 billion on both Main Street and Wall Street. And he tells me that he spends 80% of his time finding the operator to run one of his businesses that he buys inside of a portfolio. 80% of his time in due diligence is spent doing that specifically. So my question and challenge to each of you and myself is, what is our zone of genius? If there's one thing in our business that's our highest, most leverageable activity that potentially no other CEO or someone could do inside of our business, are we staying there in that zone? Or can we go out and find someone else to come in and fill out kind of our weaknesses? Now, I'm going to share something with you. This is our HireBus Right Seat Assessment. This is a tool that takes about a 5-minute assessment and you get returned back 21 different behavioral scales. So I know it's kind of this chart makes no sense when you look at it for the first time, but we have 21 different scales down here, behavioral scales: proactivity, dominance, endurance, order, support, etc. Like all these different ones. And then a scale of 0 to 100. 100 is the most extreme high and 0 is the most extreme low. And kind of in the middle are like situational behaviors. So I want to point out a couple of mine here. In our software, we actually have benchmarks of what are the ideal behaviors for every position inside of a company, whether it's a lead technician, a laborer, a CSR, an outside salesperson, inside sales, CEO, COO, marketing, creative, every position you can imagine. And it's based off of 1.5 million data points from previous candidates and employees mapped against performance. So some of the highest performers as a CEO, this is their ideal river that you kind of see here in gray, like where the ideal range is. I'm the blue line. I score a 7 as CEO. Okay. I score low. I wouldn't even say that's low. I'd say that's pretty average for entrepreneurs, because there's a reason why we aren't a CEO of a company for someone else's company. We're the weirdos that are good to jump off a cliff and build. We are weird. That's just like kind of part of our DNA. But what's interesting is I actually look at this, and this is very telling for me. There's 3 areas that are really outside of the scope. One of them is support. I care very, very deeply about people, almost to a fault. I see people through rose-colored glasses. I end up hiring people that I probably shouldn't hire, probably keep them on for longer than I should. I have very, very high change, so I get bored easily and I have to go do something else. And good CEOs can't do that. They got to stay locked in into their zone and finish it. And then criticality. I don't have a high desire to be critical of people and things. Again, see high support. Those two things in combination with each other are bad because I think everyone's awesome. Everyone's going to do great. And I'm constantly surprised that when things don't work out because I'm like, I'm so sure that they were going to work out great. So I know that in order for me to run a successful company, I have to have integrators on my team, people that can actually get things done, people that are good with tasks, people that are more critical in nature to look at my blind spots. I actually do pretty well for a marketing creative, which is actually, all the brand stuff that you saw, that's all stuff that I did. And that's like, I love marketing stuff. It's my passion. Okay. So with my company, All Clean, this was my first genuine, I would call big boy pants hire. This is Steve, and I hired him to be my operations manager because I sucked at it big time. And all of my employees were frustrated at me because I forgot to order stuff and I didn't have all the things ready for them. Steve had never done cleaning before in his life, but he was ex-military and he benchmarked extremely well. And he was an operations manager for a trailer manufacturing facility. So one of his first questions he asked me when he came onto the team was, Brandon, where are your load plans for your vehicles? I said, my what? He's like, load plans. I have no idea what load plans mean. Well, in the military, every Humvee, every vehicle in the fleet has a top-down diagram that shows every single tool, box, medical kit, guns, ammos, and you can know every vehicle is templated identical. So, that picture that I showed you before with every truck looking identical, even the exact same ladder sizes, the same, like everything was exactly the same. That was all Steve. I never even thought of that or thought to think of that. And lo and behold, his right seat score for production manager is a 9 out of a 10. And then for Wise Coatings, one thing I didn't mention here, I didn't spend more than between 1 and 5 hours a week in that business growing it to this level. And the reason for that was I'm not the CEO. I hired the CEO, Whitney, who had taken a business from 8 locations to 230 in over 8 different countries. And Diane Davis, who had taken, she's on the chair of the International Franchising Association. She's best friends with the CEO of Neighborly. And she came in and I recruited her into it. And they both have equity vesting schedules. So they'll earn equity percentage when we hit our certain goals and benchmarks. So their goal is to go grow this thing to 300 locations. And I don't have to be involved. I can just be a passive investor and I meet with the team an hour a week. And the reason why I share that is, that may not be where your business is at right now, but I want you to think a little bit more about who are the people I'm bringing onto my team? Are they people where I have to be the controller and tell them everything what to do? Or am I at a place where I can start bringing in higher level people that actually know how to do the things that I don't know how to do? And that's part of that Dunning-Kruger curve, right? Getting those high level people and knowing. So this behavioral benchmark tool that we have inside of HireBus, quick tiny plug here, every single hire that we do in our recruiting process, we actually give them our behavioral assessment. They take it before we even interview them. So not only do we post all the job ads, manage all communications with clients or applicants, I should say. I almost call them a customer, which I guess is kind of what they are. We manage all automation and communications with them, but we also give them their right seat score. And then we'll do the first round of interviews for you. So we'll actually tee up, okay, here's the exact people who you should be talking to. And they're all benchmarked for that position that you're specifically hiring for. Super, super powerful tool, not only to coach yourself, but also to coach your production managers and the other people on your teams. So I'll drop a link here later on so you guys can get a free assessment and dive in and check it out a little bit more because you can see what your zone of genius is. But something to think about as far as the next person that you bring onto your team. I'll go ahead and pause there, Kevin, if there's something you wanted to chime in on. Or
I am just continue to be super excited about the similarities of the way that you guys look at hiring and avoiding the best ability of hiring a bad employee, right?
Yeah.
Maybe there aren't any bad employees, right? Maybe there are just some people that don't really fit in, but maybe you don't see it, right? So these are some of the things that you want to you kind of want to look like. I would love to have had this tool. I did 17 years in staffing.
Oh, wow.
I would have loved to have had that tool because I would have made a lot less mistakes, I think. I'm pretty positive. A lot less mistakes in putting the wrong person. And I did everything from day-to-day staffing, admin, office, whole bunch of different things, to headhunting, true headhunting. So, for me, looking at that tool, man, if I had to start all over again and be starting a company, I would love a tool like that. And because, and what I really love is what you're saying corresponds so well with what we do as coaches, advisors, and trainers. I mean, Brandon, it's almost like you were literally sitting here with me today when I spent most of the day today talking from a stage about leadership. And I spoke a lot about recruiting and the culture and how do you recruit the right people and why do you build your team with really good people to make, frankly, your leadership job easier.
Yeah, that's right.
Man, I like when you're saying these things, I'm just getting like super excited about it because quite frankly, I love when we have partners like HireBus that join us and have that same mentality, that same drive, that same passion. It just makes it so much better for the folks that potentially use your company or potentially use ours for coaching. It just makes such a nice marriage because it's all same mindset. Love it.
Well, that's why we like working with CEO Warrior too, is because, it's not by accident that all of us speak the same language. There's only 88 keys on a keyboard. And there's, if you talk to any successful CEO or entrepreneur that has built a large company like Kevin, like Tommy Mello, like these other individuals out there that are just creating unbelievably impressive stuff, I've found that everyone speaks the same language and they all have the same blueprint on focus on the culture first, build your build your business as if you have no arms and no legs, and you have to build it through people. And that is the next iteration of getting to that next tier in success, is learning how to be a great recruiter of talent and being able to be a great leader and developer. And then, get the culture to tie it together where it creates this flywheel effect where you get referrals of great people and attracts in great people. And that's where the growth really comes in. You have to shed that mindset of that grinder mentality of, I just got to do this all myself. It's too hard. You don't put so much pressure on yourself. It's way too much pressure to put on
I,
yourself to try to figure all that out.
I do have a question.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
so how do you guys tackle difficult markets where there's a scarcity in good talent? Like, how do you become the magnet to the needle in a haystack?
Let's get tactical. Does this sound good? I'm good with getting a little tactical on that side.
I don't even know what that means or what that looks like.
Oh, I was sorry. That wasn't very clear what I was saying. I was saying, let me get tactical for you and I'll go over some tactics specifically for it. I get what you mean. That wasn't the answer to your question. That was more like
Oh, okay. Statement.
permission to dive in a little bit more. I'm sorry. That didn't land. Okay.
Okay.
Here we
That's
go.
awesome.
Okay. So, there is the advertising route, right? And I want you to think about, actually, let me kind of preface with this thought first. I want you to imagine a circle, a pie chart, and this pie chart contains every potential person who's a good fit for you inside of your company. Okay. Every potential person that's there inside of your market. There's going to be slivers and buckets and, pie slices in each one of these different areas. One pie slice we have, I want to call the almost unattainables. These are people who are so happy with their job, it would take a miracle to get them to leave their company to come work for you. Like, the offer would have to be so stupid good, so shut up and take my money, that but they're just so happy, they're so content, they're accomplishing their life's mission, right? Those are the unattainables. Okay, that represents a slice on that pie chart. On the other side of the spectrum, you have the serial job hoppers and the unemployed. These are the people who, they either can't find a job, they can't keep a job, they're always bouncing from one job to the next. Where are those individuals at? Indeed, job boards, they're applying, right? So that's where those ones exist out there. Then you're going to have your next tier of people that I'll say are the right person, right time. And that's going to be another slice. This is your ideal person, someone that you actually want, and they just so happen to be unhappy with their job right now to where they're looking on job boards and they're in an active, let me go out and find that, type of mode. Those are still coming through Indeed. The other ones, they're not coming through on Indeed, right? You have the one from unemployed, bad fit, all the way to good fit, actively job searching. And then there's another wedge. That wedge of the people, which I'll call, um, uh, let's see, mildly discontent. They're they are loyal. They've been at their company for a long time. They're tired. They may even be like silent quitting a little bit, where they're just like, this is just kind of my thing. But they're loyal and they just are kind of up for a change, but not to the threshold where I'm on Indeed actively searching. But if an opportunity presented itself in front of them, they would be interested. And there's places. So we already talked about like where you find the people on Indeed, where you're going to find people, you're not going to find them because they're there. But we have these other ones that I find you can find in a couple different places. One of them is social media. And you can do this in, basically Meta, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, posting socially, of course, but also running Facebook ads. So I believe that if you're really in a desperate situation, sometimes you may have to go look at the route of running Facebook ads and engaging with an agency to start posting those. You should, though, whenever you are actively, hiring and recruiting, you should always be recruiting. Because the challenge is that the whole right time, right person wedge, if you are only going and looking for those people when you need someone right now, the odds that you're going to find them is a lot lower. We have our funnels and our job ads running 365 days a year. We are always interviewing and we never turn it off, ever, even when we're full. And the reason why we do this is I want you to think of the difference between proactive and reactive. If I'm marketing for customers and I decide to stop marketing and I wait until tomorrow when I have no jobs on the schedule to now start marketing, the likelihood that I'm going to get a good customer that's going to give me my normal price and I won't be pressured to need to discount it and just make a bad decision because I just desperately need a customer, right? The odds of that go up a lot. If I'm always marketing, I can cherry pick. I can pick and choose. I can kind of get the cream of the crop, the pick of the litter. And this is what we do with Wise Coatings. So when I'm interviewing someone and we are legitimately full, 0 openings, I'm still interviewing them and I'm saying, hey, Gabe, I think you would be an amazing fit for our company. I'm anticipating an opening coming up here really soon. Can I put you on our waiting list? Because I really want to reach out to you when the time comes, because I think you would absolutely thrive here. You're a perfect fit for our culture. You would absolutely love the team. I genuinely think that you would get so much fulfillment and this would be a phenomenal fit. Is it okay if I put you on our waiting list? It's very rare for Gabe to say, no, pass. I'm not going to do it. No, he's going to leave his open. Well, now you have a talent pool and you have a marketable list that when, you may have someone that literally turns in their notice tomorrow and now you have a waiting list that you can now go reactivate. Or it may be 6 months from now when you have an opening pop up, you can reactivate that whole list. And we've had people that, they're in that space where maybe they've got a different job. It's not working out. You can reactivate those and you can get those individuals to come in to your pipeline as well. And that's what we do with HireBus. We run ads 365 days a year. We do fractional recruiting. We do the first round of interview. We actually build the waiting list and the talent pool for you. So we do those interviews. We put people on deck and you just communicate with your account manager. Hey, I need someone. I don't need someone. And then we manage all that back. It's like literally an annual fractional recruiter at probably a quarter of the cost of a traditional recruiting agency because we do it all year long. That's kind of like the key difference there. I do have one more thing to kind of share in another tactic, if that's okay, but I want to pause
Please.
there. Okay.
And I want to make sure we're paying attention to the chat as well, right? So Aji has a couple of things in there. Brian had a question in there.
I am so sorry. I don't want to interrupt because it's good stuff, but at the same time, like guys, we're at a position we don't like it, we don't love it. really don't like Indeed. That's just my personal opinion. Applicants are coming in and not qualified, so I'm just giving you a little bit of info. That's about it. But Brendan, continue.
Okay. I see. I got your questions here too, and I'll make sure to, yeah, Dan.
Can I just jump in a little bit specific to electrical on Indeed? So we've seen a lot of challenges when we pick up clients, specifically in electrical and HVAC, who were posting jobs on Indeed. Because it's really easy to apply to a job, as Brandon said before. You can do less than a job a minute. And so what Indeed is really good at is it's the biggest marketplace in the world for jobs. It's a 900-pound gorilla. Most of the other platforms that post jobs are actually cross-posting on Indeed. So the strength of Indeed is that there are a lot of job seekers on there. The downside of Indeed is that there are a lot of job seekers out there, right? And so when you have this giant ocean with some people you want and some people you don't want, it's all about your net. It's all about how big those holes are and what fish you let flow through and go back in the ocean, and which ones you catch. And so specific to electrical and HVAC, what we see is really important is three things. And I'm going to get like mega tactical here. We can follow up and I can show you examples later. Item number one, your job post, your job description needs to be hyper clear about the certs, requirements, what you will engage with folks on in the interview. So you need to be hyper clear about who you'll take. Number two, there's qualification sections and skills and experience sections. Take a lot of mind to those and make sure you're making sure that everything that truly is required and you're putting it down. Actually, this week, it was an electrical company in Kansas City. We took over their job ads and I looked at their applicants and it was like chef, forklift driver. And I was like, oh my gosh, dude, like you do not want those people clogging up your net. So we need to make sure we qualify them right away. And then the third step is people lie. The fish are going to lie about what type of fish they are, right? So you need a way
Love that.
to check. You need a way to check, and you need to do it with systems, not your time. What we do is like a resume analysis. So yeah, you click that. Yes, you do have an EPA Cert 1. Okay, is it on your resume? And sure, you could lie on Indeed, you could lie on your resume, you could lie on the application form that we build, but the chance that you're going to lie 3 times in a row are pretty narrow, and we'll catch that with a phone screen. So, Aj, I know this is it's not the most tactical thing in the world, but make sure at every stage of the funnel, you're qualifying down so you don't get clogged up with the bad applicants on Indeed, and instead you find the good ones. And then Brandon also talked about other places to go fish. And outside of this, we can talk a little bit about some outbound strategies. So you're not only waiting on people coming to you.
Yeah.
And I think, I was, when I had my recruiting company, Indeed was my sole source, but I wasn't recruiting home services people.
Mhm.
I was recruiting recruiters,
Mm.
people that were specifically on Indeed for many reasons to be seen. LinkedIn was big for me as well for those purposes. So, I spent a lot of time. I still am a very big fan and very pro Indeed, but I couldn't agree more with Dan. If you're not catching the right fish, change the bait.
Right. It's a marketing problem to solve, right? Get that top of funnel nice and big and then have all the qualifiers to filter that down. And it needs to be done in an automated way, which is what we do, because we want to tee you up with the right people. Okay. One more thing that I'll kind of dive into here, and then I want to make sure I capture any other questions. I'll just throw this up really quickly. I could, at some point in time, I would love to do a whole session and just show you how we build out our LMS and our training programs to be able to train people to get to a level of proficiency of either a technician. It's one thing to go out and constantly have to buy trees. It's another thing to learn how to grow them on your own property. It does take some time to be able to do so. But some of the most successful companies aren't only just finding skilled people, and that's the only thing that they can do. Building out that apprenticeship program, building out those things allows you to open yourself up to just people with really great soft skills that your training program can bring in and grow those individuals inside of your own organization. And this oftentimes is done with proactively recruiting. So one thing I'll throw out of here, I just threw all these up here, But when you talk to people and you're thinking, man, I just wish I could find people like this individual. Well, tell them so. Give them a card and say, I think you're awesome. I would love to chat more. We're looking for really great, talented people like yourself. I just really appreciated your blank, whatever skill it was that you saw or personality trait, and get them to apply, get them into your funnel. This one right here, we actually emailed our existing customers if they had any referrals, and we got not only a whole bunch of jobs, it was like one of our best performing marketing blasts for just getting people to say, hey, I don't know anyone, but I do need XYZ done on our house. It was actually a good way to get work. But we also, do you have any, friends, family members, weird uncle, anyone that you feel like would be a good fit for us? These are our core values. This is what we're looking for. And getting a really good way to just kind of proactively keeping your eye on the ground for those types of opportunities is also very, very good. And get to know your supply house and your local ones and let them know that you're looking for it as well. Post on your social media, have all of your team members, give them a headhunting fee. So we give all of our team members a $2,000 to $3,000 bounty if they recruit someone in. And I frame it with, I'm going to give you the gift that I enjoy as an entrepreneur, which is I get to pick every single one of my coworkers, and I want you to be able to have that same gift. So, anyone that that you feel like would just absolutely thrive here and do a really great job, they come onto our team, they stay for at least X number of months, we'll give you a $3,000 bonus, to be able to do it. And then the last thing that I'll just kind of say is I've heard from a lot of people in the trades that say, if I could just find the right people, I could double my business. Would you raise your hand if that's the case with you? Okay. Wow. How much would you have to spend on marketing dollars in order to double your business? If you could really, truly, genuinely double your business by finding the right people, how many thousands of dollars a month are you spending on advertising for people? What's your systems and your processes? And is this a P&L line item for recruiting really great people? It should be, because the ROI, as you just told me, you could double your business. That's a pretty compelling offer. Sounds like getting people and solving this and marketing for this is probably one of the most highest leverageable things you can do to increase your company's size. So run at it and give a lot of intentional thought to it. It definitely pays off.
Brandon, when we introduce ourselves to potential members of CEO Warrior, we often find that there's three real big problems in their company. One, they don't have time to have processes, so they're just running around trying to figure it out as they go.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is they don't understand their financials.
Right.
And the third one is they don't know how to recruit.
Right.
They don't know how to find good people.
Guilty.
And it's so amazing to and it's humbling because, like you mentioned, and myself, my background, I've had a few companies, sold a few companies, got acquired a few times. Like, these are things you just have to learn how to do. You have to learn how to understand your numbers. You have to learn to have processes within your organization. Otherwise, there's magnified chaos.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes, well, I love the organized chaos. No, you don't. No one does.
No
You
one.
just say that to make yourself sleep better at night. No one loves organized chaos.
What's
And
that? Was
then,
that little gif of the house burning on fire with the dog in the middle saying, "This is fine."
yeah, exactly. And then, how to find really good people, because as well as everyone else on this, the better people you find to work for your company, then your company has better growth. It's
Amen.
just the way it works. You get really good people, you enable them to do a job, you give them the ability to make good decisions within themselves, you have some processes laid out there, and next thing you know, you watch your revenue just do this. And
Yeah.
you know what takes care of a lot of problems in this world? Revenue.
Mm-hmm. So true. So true. Big problem solver, big equalizer.
Yeah. I remember back in my early sales days, I would come and man, I really need to make more money. And what was the answer? Go sell something.
Right.
I'm not going to hand you cash. Go sell something.
Yeah.
Right? You want a raise? Go sell two of those. Like that. That was the concept that I grew up with, and I kind of still love that. Put in the work, go
Mhm.
find the good people, have really good processes, and guess what? revenue starts coming. Then you understand your numbers, you dial it in, and then the wonderful thing about revenue is net profit.
Right.
Now you actually make good money, you have good sales, and you make money. Imagine that. If you only had a company that would have really good sales and make good money, how wonderful would that be for all of us?
That's
Right?
gold. Love it, Kevin. All right. So just to recap, I know we're at time here. I want to end on time for everyone's respect. The number one, set your vision. 5 steps to avoid your crash. Set your vision, set your core values. Let everyone know on the team who you are and who you need on that team. Number 2, find your operator. Bring in people smarter than you to fill out your blind spots and let you operate inside of your zone of genius. Number 3, broadcast everywhere. You know, at the top of the hill, ringing the loudest bell as possible so everyone in the town below can hear. That it's a marketing problem first and foremost to solve. Engage them to stay. This is the company culture part of it, the core values actually in practice, the dream management side. I know I kind of bounced around here when we were kind of sharing and asking questions, but just to recap the 5 in case people are like, what were those 5? Here's number 5, execute. So, you know, don't lie to yourself. You say, and you have said for a while, I got to solve this problem. I could double. The lie is an acronym, lacking in execution. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to lack in execution. We want to actually get the things done that we say. You've sat here, you've given myself, Kevin, Dan, an hour of your time, which is amazing. Don't
Thank
let
you.
that dopamine hit just kind of stick. I encourage you, go onto your calendar right now and book out a time that you will actually execute and get things done. If one of those things you want to book out on your calendar is schedule a call with me or my team, free plug. Love for you to go here and drop a link. We'll set up a demo with you. We'll walk you through the platform. If you'd like us to literally run your entire hiring funnel for you and you just get the top 3% of people scheduled to your calendar on autopilot, literally, you don't have to write the job ads, post them, or do anything. We manage all of it. And then you just get the top 3%, and we will recruit for you 365 days a year at less of a quarter of the cost of a traditional recruiting agency. Because we've spent millions of dollars into our software platform, use AI tools, lots of automations. It's why we're so affordable. Don't let that cost fool you. The quality is great. You can go to this link here. We can set up a call, and happy to walk you through more on our process.
Brandon, thank you, man. That is such good information. For those of you that are already members that are on this call, 1, thank you for being a member of our family, of the CEO Warrior family. 2, remember that HireBus is a vendor partner of ours. Please look at them, talk to them, find out how you can engage them. Amazing information, absolutely amazing information from everyone. If you're not a member of CEO Warrior or you're not currently using HireBus, let's get some information to you, right? You want to know more about CEO Warrior, you can go to ceowarrior.com. You can send an email to kevin@ceowarrior.com and ask me for more information. I'd love to talk to you or have one of our growth advisors talk to you. Brandon did an awesome job of having a nice little slide prepared and go to that, right? But awesome information, guys. Really appreciate the partnership for us, right? This is just some of the quality that you get when you work with 2 organizations that really have your best interest in mind. There isn't any one of the 3 of us, Dan, Brandon, or myself, that's interested in getting involved with you so we can prove to you how much we know. We want to get involved with you so we can prove to you how much we can help you grow.
No.
Okay? I have no guru spirit inside of me. All I want to do is serve this community as best as I can. And I believe that Brandon and Dan feel the same exact way.
Appreciate that. Absolutely. And great questions. Thank you. Thank you guys for chiming in, and awesome to hear from you both. Appreciate that.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you giving us an hour of your time. For those of you, like I said, that are members, obviously, some of you, I will be talking to you next week, and we can review exactly what we just talked about, and you know exactly who I'm talking about, who's on this call. Thank you very, very much for joining us, guys. Really appreciate it. Everyone have a wonderful day. Hope to speak to you real soon. Bye.
Take care. Bye all.